Hello everyone, my name is Rachel, and much like Madison said in the last lesson, I am a nutrition and agriculture teacher brought to you from AmeriCorps, which is also contracted through REAP Food Group, a food justice nonprofit located here in Madison, Wisconsin. So, like Madison was talking about last time, we're here to teach about nutrition and agriculture. So, basically, what your food is, where your food comes from, and what your food does for our bodies, right? So last week we spent some time talking about the My Plate. Now, you might see this as familiar from last week's lesson, right? It goes over the 5 food groups that our school lunch program uses in order to make sure that we are strong and happy and healthy and we can play at recess. When you spoke last week, you went over all the 5 food groups. Today, we're mostly going to be talking about our fruits and our vegetables because we're talking about plants, and all of our fruits and all of our vegetables are going to come from plants. Of course, our grains, our protein, and our dairy, if you're thinking about soy milk or cashew milk, right? Those might come from plants as well. But when we're talking about the 6 parts of the plant, we can really get to know our fruits and our vegetables pretty well. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, right? The 6 plant parts. And most plants that grow here on this earth, and especially in the area of Wisconsin, actually have these 6 plant parts. Each part has an important function in order for the plant to grow and thrive, but the really cool part about these 6 plant parts is that we can actually eat all of them. Maybe not on every single plant, but each of these individual parts has tons of different types of food that we can eat, and we can also get so many different types of nutrients and minerals from each part, right? So, in order to eat a healthy, balanced diet, we know that we want to eat our My Plate, we want to eat a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, which often means that we're eating lots of our different plant parts. So I just kind of want to make sure that we're all on the same page with what the 6 plant parts are. So if you want to go ahead right now, you can pause this video and think to yourself, what is each part of these plants? How might this part of the plant be used by the plant? What's its function? And then we'll check back in with our next, when you unpause the video, I'm going to move on and kind of give us the answers, but go ahead and take some time to brainstorm. Right, so we have our 6 parts of the plant. The roots, the stem, which goes through the entire middle of the plant, and also our branches. Our branches are stems that come out from the main stem, right? We have our leaves that kind of shoot off from the branches. Our flower, which grows most of the time really brightly colored, most of the time well scented, most of the time producing nectar, and we'll talk about why in the next slide. And then we have our fruits. And you might say, well, here, this is a tomato. I would never ever think of a tomato being a fruit. Well, you're right, and to some extent, not necessarily correct, right? So last week when we were talking, we were grouping things into what each part does for your body, right? So we know that our fruits and our vegetables have nutrients that we need in order to make our eyes healthy, our skin healthy, our hair healthy. Our grains give us lots of energy, our protein makes our muscles strong, and our dairy makes our teeth and our bones strong, right? Those are kind of how we grouped each of the foods. Today, we're grouping our foods by what part of the plant that they're coming from, which means a tomato is actually a fruit. All of our fruits come from flowers. So, since a tomato comes from a flower, it actually makes it a fruit. It also makes lots of the other things that we would normally think of as vegetables, fruits as well, like our cucumbers, squash, eggplant. All of those also come from a flower, which technically makes them the fruit of the plant. But would you put a tomato in a fruit salad with a mango and an apple and pineapple? Probably not, right? It wouldn't taste very good. That's because when we're grouping things by taste, a tomato doesn't really have that same citrusy or fruity quality that lots of our other fruits might have. So we talk about it as a vegetable. It all kind of depends on what group we're putting things in, or category. But today we're mostly talking about the plants, which means that a tomato is a fruit. Another part of the plant that isn't on our list is a seed, and the seed actually is held within the fruit. Each part of the plant has a super important function in order to make sure that the plant is growing holistically and healthy and has everything that it needs in order to grow big and strong, so that when we eat those plants, we also can grow big and strong, right? So we'll start at the very bottom with our roots. The roots are kind of like a straw for the plant. They suck in a bunch of nutrients and water from the soil and basically make sure that they can be transmitted from that soil into the rest of the plant. They do this through moving them through the stem. So the stem is almost like an elevator. It transports all of those nutrients up and down the plant, make sure they're dropping them off at each of the branches and each of the leaves in order to make sure that those nutrients are getting to where they need to go. Which brings us to the leaves. The leaves are almost like a cook for the plant. They take those nutrients, they take the sunlight, and they actually also breathe in order to make sure that the plant has food. Plants need to eat kind of just like we need to eat, and plants also breathe kind of like we need to breathe. Except when you take a breath in, you're breathing in oxygen, and when you take a breath out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. Plants do the opposite. When they breathe in, they're breathing in carbon dioxide, but when they breathe out, they're breathing out oxygen, which is really great for us because we take in that oxygen and give out that carbon dioxide that they need in order to grow. Once the leaf has all of the nutrients and has done photosynthesis through the sunlight, it creates food for the plant, mostly carbohydrates, right? And once that plant has enough food, it's going to have enough energy to create flowers. Now, flowers are those brightly colored, really well-scented things that we know our pollinators love, and pollination is our next unit, so I'm not going to get super into it right now. But basically, flowers are normally really bright in color and really well-scented because they want to attract pollinators. But why? That's mostly so that the flower itself can be pollinated and then turn into our fruits. If our flowers aren't pollinated, we don't get fruits, which is why we have an entire lesson dedicated to pollination, because it's so important in order to make lots of our foods. Our fruit have a really important job. They hold the seed for the plant, and a seed is a baby plant. So that's how plants mostly are growing and reproducing. So if we didn't have fruits to hold the seeds and protect them and also disperse them, we might not have lots of plants. And you might wonder, what makes fruits taste so good? Why do so many animals and humans go and try to harvest lots of these fruits in order to eat? That's because they're sweet by design, right? Lots of our fruits actually are wanting to be eaten by people like us or maybe other animals that are living around like rabbits or deer. Because when we eat these fruits, we're also eating the seeds. And then when we create waste, we're actually spreading those seeds around our environment, creating more opportunities for plants to grow. We also have two other ways that seeds are mainly dispersed. You might have seen a helicopter plant. That's one of those plants that has two little wings on the side that kind of spins down when the wind catches it at the right angle. That's using the wind as a method of seed dispersal, moving the seed through the air with its little propellers. You also might have blown on a dandelion when it has the white parts at the top and then the seeds kind of float off. That's another way that the wind is used in order to make sure that our seeds get dispersed. Another way is water, which is really important, especially for areas like the Midwest and especially Madison, Wisconsin, because we have so many different waterways, so many different rivers and lakes and watershed systems that can easily transport seeds. And lots of people ask me, well, what about a case like the banana, right? You bite into that fruit, no seeds. Well, originally bananas actually did have seeds. They were grown smaller and with actually more bountiful seeds on the inside in order to reproduce and grow more bananas. However, with genetic modification, banana seeds have kind of become irrelevant and they're propagated or grown in a different way so that the banana actually doesn't need the seeds anymore. But if we weren't there as humans to help interact and be involved in growing bananas, bananas probably wouldn't be able to reproduce because they don't have baby seeds, or they don't have seeds, which are baby plants, in order to spread and grow new banana trees. Next, we have a couple activities that are coming up in our lesson. We encourage you to take a break or pause as you go through these next slides in order to really engage with our lesson and kind of get involved in some of our activities. So if you have the ability to break into a small group, definitely go for it. If not, you can just think to yourself or maybe write on a piece of paper what part of the plant we eat for each part of the plant, right? So if you're going through and we have our roots, you would think of maybe 2 or 3 examples of foods that we eat that are roots of a plant. I'll go back to the slide that has our parts of the plant listed, but don't forget about the seed, which isn't listed on this slide, right? So go through. What are 2 or 3 roots that we eat? 2 or 3 stems that we eat? 2 or 3 leaves, flowers, fruits, and seeds. Go ahead and pause the video now in order to do this exercise. Moving forward, I can give you some examples of the parts of the plant that I came up with that we eat, right? Root vegetables might be things like beets, radishes, or carrots. Our stems might be things like asparagus or celery. Our leaves might be things like basil, cilantro, spinach, or kale. Our flower is kind of tricky because most of the time when we eat our flowers, we actually don't see them in bloom. So how would we know that they're flowers? Some examples that I can give you are broccoli. Broccoli is often called broccoli florets, which talks about the little part at the very top that kind of looks a little leafy. If you actually let broccoli grow past the point where we're eating it, those little florets turn into beautiful yellow flowers. And of course, we're not eating the yellow flowers, we're eating the florets or the baby flowers. Some other examples of flowers that we eat are cauliflower and artichokes. And of course, there are tons of different fruits that we've eaten. We've kind of gone over a lot of them, and I'm sure that your list of fruits is absolutely massive. And then, of course, we can't forget our seed. Some seeds that we might intentionally eat or specifically go to a plant to eat the seeds is mostly our nuts. We can think of almonds, cashews, or peanuts as really great examples of nuts that we eat. Also, sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds might be really great ones that you have as a snack or on top of a salad. Our next activity is making a bean baby necklace. Now, if you don't have the materials for this, that's totally fine. I just want to go over it for our friends that might want to engage in this. So, if you do have the materials listed on the left side of the slide, definitely feel free to engage with this activity. You can always make some changes. Let's say you don't have a cotton ball, but you do have a paper towel, or you do have toilet paper, right? You can definitely substitute those things. If you also don't have any plastic bags, you could use a jar with the lid off, or you could go straight to putting your bean in soil if you're really wanting to just start with the ground running, right? But basically, the idea for this original activity is to be able to plant your bean in a plastic bag in order to be able to see it sprouting above ground. Now, what you want to do is take a cotton ball, paper towel, toilet paper, and wet it. Once it's wet, tuck your baby bean into the cotton ball or whatever medium you're using, and then put that in a plastic bag with a hole at the top. Put a piece of yarn through the hole in your bag and wear as a necklace. We know that beans, and of course all of our other seeds, need sun, water, and soil in order to grow. If you want more activities about sun, water, and soil and the 6 plant parts, feel free to check out our Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes song, which is adapted to be the parts of the plant. But once you wear this bean baby necklace, the heat from your body will actually help the plant germinate or sprout. If you'd like to see a video of the bean sprouting, please go through our slides and check out this video. It's really neat. It shows a plant growing over the course of 25 days, and it shows above and below the soil what's going on with the seed maturity. Thank you so much for viewing our lesson. We really look forward to continuing this 5-lesson series with our next week's lesson on pollination. Thank you.